Welcome to the Craftsman Online Podcast, the only 5-star rated Masonic podcast endorsed by the Grand Lodge of New York. Any opinions, thoughts, or viewpoints shared during this program are that of the individual and do not reflect the official position of any Grand Lodge, appendant, or concordant body from which that member may hail. I'm your host, Brother Michael Arce, co-founder of CraftsmanOnline.com. You've joined us for a great episode as we're going to get inside Italian Freemasonry. Italy was the birthplace of the Renaissance, an era that inspired and revolutionized art, architecture, literature, science, and philosophy. I'm very excited to bring on our guest for this week's episode, Worshipful Brother Marco Fion. You're going to have to help me in how to pronounce this with the Italian accent and the passion, the zest. How do we say it?
Marco Fiorante.
Who is the master of Italia Lodge 2001 here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and he's joined us to share his insight on the contributions Italians have offered to our gentle and beloved craft. So I'm sure as a listener, you're going to enjoy the beauty in Marco's voice versus mine, thanks to his authentic Italian accent. Marco, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and what led you to join Freemasonry.
First of all, thank you very much for having me on this wonderful podcast. It's an honor for me to be here. So thank you very much, my brother. And I want to say hi to anyone who's going to listen to us. So a little bit about me. I have a lovely family. I have a wife and I have a son and I have a daughter on the way. She's going to be here in November. So I'm very excited about that. And I don't know what else. I am an Italian teacher, and also I do that, let's say, on the side, because my main profession is that I am a professional opera singer. So I sing opera. I did a little bit of tour before COVID, and then of course everything got shut down. But little by little is coming back. I have all my family in Italy. My father, my mother, and my 2 brothers. And when I can, I just go back to enjoy the wonderful sceneries of the motherland.
Nice. So when did you come to America?
I came in America. I did back and forth for a while, but I established myself permanently in 2014. So I was going to be like 10 years in 2 years.
Wow. Okay. So relatively new.
Yeah, fresh out of the boat.
Okay. I love it. And what induced you or led you to want to come to America from Italy? Because I hear that the food is wonderful there, the people are wonderful there.
Everything is wonderful in Italy. I try to live my American dream. So I had the opportunity through a brother, which was the past master of my lodge. He gave me the opportunity to land in Washington, D.C. He taught me, he mentored me. I mean, I would never imagine all the situation that I got myself in America without him. So I need to thank him every day. And he was the one day we had some brothers coming from Italy for Columbus Day. And, we usually do the big parade in New York. And I remember we were on the top of the Masonic Temple in Alexandria, the George Washington Masonic Temple. And I was fascinated. I didn't know too much about it, but I was fascinated about this wonderful building. And just on the top of the tower, it was like, what about you be a Mason? I was like, I don't know. I mean, in Italy, it's not something that sounds good. There is a lot of controversy. So I put myself on books and start to document myself, a lot of reading. I talked with a lot of people. And 10 years ago, in May, I was initiated. And I grew up a lot, into the fellow craft. I had the possibility to learn and do Masonic education with a lot of, great people in Freemasonry. So I'm glad. I mean, now I feel, I don't know how to say, complete. I feel like that I'm giving something back. I'm improving myself into a different level. I really like it a lot.
I love that. So What led you to join Italia Lodge besides the obvious?
But I mean, we had great people. I mean, from different backgrounds, from Italy and in America. I like the diversity and of course, you say Italian Lodge in Washington D.C., which we have the largest from France, from Azerbaijan, from many countries in the Middle East. So we are just one of the many, and when we usually gather together in to public or let's say profane and non-profane events. I like the diversity. I like to immerse myself. I like to compare my ritual, my the symbols with different heritage. I don't know how to say heritage, language, country backgrounds. So I like, and also prove myself that I can be in Italian Lodge, but also I am one of many brothers in the world. So the unity and the universal at the same time. That's what fascinated me the most.
I agree. Yeah. One of the things I like about being in the DC jurisdiction is the cosmopolitan feel or the metropolitan feel.
Exactly.
In larger cities like New York City, I'm sure, and Los Angeles, whether there's more of an international community, you'll find some diversity. Where I was initially raised in upstate New York, we did not have a huge international community. Not to say that we weren't serious or loved the craft, but we just didn't have that diversity, which is so interesting. You really feel like you're traveling to another country because you're being a part of some of these cultures and traditions, and in an authentic way, from brothers like you that have lived there and have come here, or brothers who have strong family ties still back there. So for those that haven't visited Italia Lodge 2001 yet here in DC, what is it like coming to one of your lodge meetings? Is this an emulation lodge? Are you performing blue Masonic ritual here from the States?
No, we do emulation ritual, and we do it in Italian, so be ready. And so we usually have my lodge has almost 60. I think we are 63. If I'm not wrong, we just updated the list, and we are 63. So when you come to our a temple in Georgetown, it's nice because you can see people, as I say, from different backgrounds. We usually have a lot of guests because the agape following the meetings, it's always into an Italian restaurant. So people love the fact that it's not just about learning what we do into an Italian lodge, but the food at the end is almost like the cherry on the pie that makes everything smooth and nice.
I haven't gotten a chance to visit yet. I am looking forward to visiting your lodge because you have a couple events that are coming up during the month of October. First, you have your festive board, which will be taking place on Wednesday, October 12th. And as you mentioned, the brotherhood, the fellowship, but also the food.
Yes. We have a meeting at 7:30, and if anybody's interested, you can just check the website, or they can just send us an email. We can give them all the info. And we have a meeting with elections, and then we have a festive board following that. Yes.
Perfect. And then the other event, and of course that meeting is open to all Master Masons in good standing. And then the other event that you have planned just a few days after, on Saturday, October 15th, I think this is pretty special, is your 20th anniversary banquet, which is open to Masons and their guests. Tell us about that. 20 years of practicing Freemasonry here in the district. What special, unique history will you be celebrating? And what are some of the experiences that you'll be talking about with the brethren from your lodge?
The beauty when you celebrate an anniversary like that, it's that you have a lot of memories to share. We still have in Lodge people that open Italian Lodge. So it's fascinating to see how the idea started and what they developed through the years, because we were just a few in the beginning, and then you see how it's growing. We have a lot of lodges that we are twin with them in Italy. I think we have a 16, and then we have a 2 in the States, which they are in New York. The Italia Lodge is twin sister with them, the Garibaldi and the Mazzini, but we're going to talk later about that. So it's fascinating to see a lot of people came along, and also we are the only lodge that is able to do ritual work during the grand visitation of the Grand Lodge of Italy, which is always in April. So Italia Lodge goes to Italy in April for the Grand Lodge of Goi, which is the Grand Orient of Italy, and we are the only lodge is able to open the meeting, and we can have a meeting like during their celebration. So we are pretty special, I have to say. We have a good reputation that is very, it's very important to keep an eye stand, and but at the same time it's fun. I'm learning a lot. We are fun people, but we are also proud of what we do.
I'm taking note of that trip to Italy.
Yes, coming up. We just had one last April with the Grand Master of Washington, D.C. He was there, and Italia Lodge organized all the trip for him, and I had the pleasure to be his driver. So I took him everywhere. We went to the Grand Lodge of San Marino, which is a small state in Italy, let's say territory. And then, of course, a little trip to the Ferrari factory, a little trip to the Lamborghini factory, and then we went to Leaning Tower of Pisa, and all the travels in between. It was very nice. We had fun. It was a great experience.
Nice. Well, having lived in upstate New York, large Italian population that lives there. I, with my last name, Arce, Spanish, but I'm light-skinned Spanish, so I easily can be confused as Italian. And I was standing in a deli, and one time a sweet little Italian lady came up and said, "Oh, are you Italian?" And I was waiting for my sandwich at lunch, and I'm like, no, I'm not Italian. And she's like, "Well, you should be. You'd be happier in life." So I'm hearing you talk about going to Italy, and I'm like, I might want to affiliate with Italia Lodge just for that trip. That sounds like fun.
Anytime. We are open to anybody.
Freemasonry in Italy has a very interesting past that's mixed with controversy, along with some significant heroes. And I want to talk about the bright side about it first. And our brothers who are listeners, they might be familiar with, especially in New York, Giuseppe Garibaldi, considered one of the greatest generals of modern times and one of Italy's fathers of the fatherland. Garibaldi Lodge, number 542 in New York City, is one of many that bear his name. It's memorable to me because they wear the red shirts in Lodge in honor, and you don't see that a lot in other lodges. And of course, you mentioned Mazzini Lodge, number 824 in New York City. When you think of the history of Freemasonry in Italy, or even the famous Italian Freemasons, how do you think of the contributions that they made at that time and how they continue to influence or impact today's Freemasons?
Of course, they left a mark in history. I mean, everywhere we have Garibaldi and Mazzini Lodge in Albania, in South America, and in the United States. So the contribution in history, it's heavy. It's an honor to name some lodges after them. Garibaldi and Mazzini, they are the only one. We had a lot of actors and musicians that they were brothers. So it's nice. It's nice because you have almost a path to follow. Like they do in New York. They still wear the red shirts like he did during the unification. So you see that you try to emulate something, because especially in modern time is always sometimes difficult to find a leader, because the controversy and history and how the world is becoming crazy. So sometimes stepping back in history and say, oh, maybe I can try my best at least to think like him, to emulate him, and see if I can at least succeed in something that maybe he did also, but in a different time. So I like when I see Garibaldi Lodge and Mazzini Lodge, and as I say, other names that they marked history, Italian history, that much,
Yeah, no, I feel the same way in American Freemasonry. When you think of, George Washington, there's probably
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of George Washington lodges around our country. And he's such, and respectfully so, such a significant part of Freemasonry in America's story and, of course, around the world, but also a draw, at least for me personally. When I went into Freemasonry, I sit there and see his picture, which hangs in a lot of our lodge rooms, and thought, if he was a member of this fraternity, what did he gain from being a Freemason that I might possibly be able to glean during my time here? I'm getting exposed to similar ritual and same Masonic teachings and these deeper meanings. And that's the thing I'm sure you feel as well, is the pride in not only hearing the stories from your parents or your family, but in school, but also sitting there and thinking, wow, these important men took this path and I get to be a part of that.
Yes, totally right. I'm totally with you.
Of course, we mentioned the good, but there's also the other side of it. And unfortunately, our gentle craft has often been the enemy of dictators, tyrants, and oppressors throughout time. Most recently in history, brothers may be familiar with Hitler and Mussolini's attempts to silence Freemasons during World War II. What comes to your mind when you think of the struggles? And I'd really like to get into this because a lot of brothers may not be familiar with the idea or what actually happened in time there, that Freemasons were targeted in Germany or in Italy and Germany and throughout Europe during World War II, the impact that it had on being a Mason at that time, and now what it means to younger Masons like yourself.
Not just during World War II, but even after that, in Italy, we really had problems with the deviated, Grand Lodges and associated with the mafia and no good stuff, let's say. So, and I know of brothers that they were killed just because they had the square and compass, or just they said that they were Freemasons. So it was tough. That's why I say when I got the opportunity to learn a little bit about Freemason in the beginning, it was very difficult to find the light at the end of the tunnel, because I was studying and nothing was coming out good. For a certain period of time, also the Catholic Church, was not happy with the craft. So if you're a religious person, or if you followed a little bit the history of Italy in the last 40 or 50 years, there was not a good place for us. But thank God we had the opportunity to change a little bit history. We are doing so much better right now. I mean, we are starting to regain our light, and we are shining in the light. We have a lot of people that are starting to believe us and to follow us and to support us, which is very, very important. So yes, Mussolini, Hitler, they were not happy about lodges, all over Europe, because we did something that for them was, how it is. Sometimes ignorance about something scares you, and I think that's what happened.
Right.
And also, we had a very big power that they didn't agree with that, so they tried to shut down in any way, and they succeeded for a little bit, but there was just maybe one brother that was able to move forward and regain our history and start all over again. So
right.
I'm happy about that. I'm happy for sure.
I agree. It was moving. I always had heard the story of the poppy that Freemasons wore to identify that they were Masons during World War II because of the oppressive dictatorship. And why? Because Freemasons are generally like-minded, but also free thinkers. And that's, an enemy to an oppressor that wants you to, follow in step with what they have to say. It really connected with me living here in DC and going to the Holocaust Museum and seeing the section that was set up for Freemasons and some of the quotes and the lines that were featured there from history. And it really made me think about our brothers that were persecuted, as you said, for being Freemasons at that time and kind of living to the ideals of what we follow now as we are raised to that sublime degree of Master Mason. You had commented that earlier that there was an Amazon movie that you had watched or a film that you had watched that really kind of tells that story. What was that?
Yes, I had the opportunity to talk with somebody. He presented a table during a lodge meeting about the situation of Freemasonry during World War II, the controversy between the Nazi and the Russians. And he suggested me to watch it. And it was fascinating because actually in concentration camps, they opened meeting and they were able to initiate during World War II in a concentration camp, which is, I think a mind-blowing event. So I suggest to, if you have an hour to spend in your life to watch it, it's very important to see how, even now, grandmasters of France, they were able to testimony what the hard work that has been done to regain some of the documents, some of the minutes from the early 1900s. And it's a fun movie to watch for sure.
What's the name of the movie?
Nazi and Freemasons.
Well, here we are now. We represent the future from our forefathers and grandfathers in Freemasonry. And you'd kind of mentioned it earlier. You have a little one. When you think about, your kids in Freemasonry and your son at some age, like, how do you think as a proud dad, as a worshipful master of your lodge, are you going to be talking about your experience with him and how will you be presenting?
Yes, for sure. I mean, the beauty of being a worshipful master and, I had the opportunity to go visit lodges that were established like 150 years ago is that as a worshipful master in my lodge, I am making history, which is something that fascinated me. The fact that 100 years from now, they can go and look at my minutes and see what I did, what type of contribution I did, not just for my lodge, but for the society, for charities. I mean, as Italia Lodge, we support a lot of charities, not just in the States, but also in Italy. We helped with, different earthquakes that we had, across the 20 years of Italia Lodge. And it's fun because it's something that stays. It's something that really makes history. So I'm going to tell my son someday that, his father was the worshipful master of Italia Lodge, and I did this. And 100 years from today, maybe the children of my children, they go back and say, that was my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and he did this, and I'm proud about it. So because I see that also in a situation that George Washington was my brother. I don't think there is you can find many opportunity to say something like that. Like people that built the United States, they were brothers of mine, and I'm one of them. And I'm gonna be like, they were maybe the starting point from me, but I wanna be the starting point for somebody else. So that's something that it triggered me, especially in the beginning. So that's how I always try to be professional, to study, to develop myself, because I want to be the starting point for somebody else, not just for my son, but for other people that come and say, I have no experience in the craft. Where can I start? And I can say, maybe you can start from me. I can teach you, I can give you some experience, I can give you my personal experience, and maybe I can be the one that can lead you through to your path, to your journey, let's say, in the craft.
Your story is basically you left Italy, the East, and you traveled west to America, and that's where you traveled back to the East to find the light that you were searching for in your life. That's a beautiful story.
Exactly.
So the most important question that we can ask for brothers that are planning a visit to our nation's capital in the future, they want to experience a lodge meeting with Italia Lodge. What do they need to know before they make their visit?
For sure, if they come from anywhere in the States, they can just show us the membership card, that provide us the fact that they are in good standing. Otherwise, if they come from any other part of the world, they need to just give us an heads up through their Grand Lodge in order for us to vouch them and let them into one of our meetings. As I said, in the beginning, we meet in February, the second Wednesday of February, June, October, and December. And we have our special communication. We are pretty steady on the schedule. We have our special communication in Italy during the Grand Visitation of the Grand Orient of Italy. So in case somebody is in Italy on vacation in April, in the beginning of April, and they want to come and see us, they're more than welcome to come there too.
Or just, happens to listen to this podcast, think it's a great idea. Let's affiliate. Let's join Italia Lodge and support them.
Yes. Maybe we should promote a trip to it. We can do a Masonic trip to Italy, because as I say, Italia Lodge has many twin lodges from top to bottom of the boot. So I organized that once. It was, the trip of a lifetime, especially for a brother. So maybe we can put another one together.
So the other thing too is, I think for brothers that are not Italian speaking, be prepared to be in a different setting, but you won't feel uncomfortable about it. And the most other important thing is the food. Don't forget the food at the end of the night. So do not eat before you come.
Yeah, of course.
Brother Marco, thank you so much for sharing your story and coming on this week as our guest.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much. And thank you for the invitation again.
For more Masonic education, you can visit us online at craftsmanonline.com. If you've enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more, you can just say, "Hey Siri," or "Hey Alexa, play the Craftsman Online podcast." We're available with new episodes every Monday morning on your favorite streaming platform. Until next time, let peace and harmony prevail.